Hey, folks, welcome to the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network podcast. I'm your host, Louis Carlin. We're heard right here on the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Road to Ignition has kicked off with a big show, night one. It's all leading to Ignition 2021, which is going to have a great main event in which Filthy Tom Lawler will be defending the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Championship against the number one contender, Karl Fredericks, and that's going to be a terrific match, but that's a few weeks down the road. Right now, instead of Ignition, we're on the road to Ignition 2021, and this was the opening show, night one. Three really good matches, which include the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong debut of New Japan Pro Wrestling legend Satoshi Kojima, and let's get right into it. Match one was a really good match to start, a good opener. It was TJP, fresh off his epic Iron Man match against X Division champion Josh Alexander on Impact Wrestling, taking on Kevin Knight in the opening match, and this was a decent opener. Let's run down the bit of the match to start. So each which was trying to gain the advantage early on. Kevin Knight locked the head scissors on TJP. TJP was trying to get out of it. He was having trouble, but finally he gets out of it. Hits a drop kick on Kevin Knight. TJP has Knight in the corner. He face washes Kevin Knight a few times. Kevin Knight comes back with a big body slam, but then TJP regains control of the action until Kevin Knight again comes back with a big drop kick, hits a nice tilt-a-whirl backbreaker on TJP, gets a 2 count. Kevin Knight hits a nice corner splash onto TJP, but TJP eventually locked on the Cobra Twist submission hold, and Kevin Knight was forced to tap out. After the match, TJP fist bumped Kevin Knight and tapped him on the shoulder and gave him a little bit of a hug to show a little bit of respect. But the winner of the match via submission was TJP. This was a decent opener. The only thing I went a little too short, in my opinion, was about 6 minutes long, maybe a little over 6 minutes. But it was a decent opener. You knew who was going to win going in. You knew there was no way that young lion Kevin Knight was going to defeat TJP. So you knew TJP was going to win. I just thought it was going to be a little longer. I thought it was going to be maybe a 10, 12-minute match. And I thought we were going to have like 2 or 3 minutes of really intense action to close the match. But the match, in my opinion, never really kicked into high gear. Kevin Knight, very, very impressive in every match. He hit some nice spots in this match as well, but usually he kicks it into high gear. Every Kevin Knight match that I've seen prior, the match is usually, like I said, kicks into high gear, and we have some really good, intense action to close out the match. Wasn't the case here. I was surprised. Like I said, never really got going. He locked on the Cobra Twist. Kevin Knight tapped out, and that was the end of the match. But Kevin Knight has great potential. And he's definitely going to be a star. He's always impressive. Like I said, he hit some nice moves in this match. Like, I know how good TJP is, but I love watching Kevin Knight. I love watching him progress because, like I said, I know he's got great potential, and I really feel he's going to be a big star. And I like the fist bump after the match with TJP. Because a few weeks ago, Kevin Knight was saying that he's tired of losing, that he's getting all frustrated. Well, maybe TJP is going to take Kevin Knight under his wing. Maybe Kevin Knight will be the next graduate of the LA Dojo. I know Clark Connors just recently graduated. Karl Fredericks also recently graduated. So maybe Kevin Knight is the next graduate of the LA Dojo, and maybe TJP is going to take him under his wing and help him along. Again, that's just me speculating, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's what the fist bump and the hug and the tap on the shoulder meant. It was a show of respect by TJP, and maybe TJP will take Kevin Knight under his wing. And hey, I'll be all for that. But nonetheless, great potential. Kevin Knight, I know I said it a few times. I'll say it again. He's definitely has the it factor, and this was a decent opener. Again, I just wish it went a little longer. Never really kicked into high gear, but you can't always get what you want, I guess. Okay, match 2 was the battle of former tag team partners as Adrian Quest took on Barrett Brown, who was accompanied to the ring by Bateman. And the match started as Quest gets in the first offense, and Barrett Brown began the match with the heelish stalling technique. He would get in a little trouble, roll out of the ring. Quest would come back with some more offense. Brown would roll out of the ring again. Brown would come back into the ring, get into a little bit of trouble, and roll out of the ring again. They did this a few times until finally Brown comes back and gains an advantage. He actually dumped Quest out of the ring, and Adrian Quest actually took a pretty bad fall to the outside. But Brown gained advantage after this, gained control of the match after this. He kicked Quest to the ribs. Brown hits a big clothesline. They're on the outside. Brown suplexes Adrian Quest onto the floor, but Adrian Quest actually comes back. Hits a nice springboard Rana off the top rope on Brown. The action started really picking up here. They're on the outside again, and Quest actually hit a beautiful shooting star press onto a standing Barrett Brown. The action really, really got good here as we got a couple of near falls. Lots of back and forth action. The match actually ended with Brown on the ring apron, Quest on the top turnbuckle. He's going to hit a big finishing move, but Brown distracted Quest, kind of delayed the move. And finally, when Quest went for the finishing move, Brown was able to roll out of the way. He rolled up Quest, grabbed a handful of tights, and got the pin and the victory over Adrian Quest. So the winner stealing a victory here with a handful of tights, Barrett Brown. And this was a really good match. I really enjoyed this one. Brown was really playing the heel role really well with the opening stalling tactics. Larry Sabisco used to do that all the time, and Brown was doing it here, and great heelish move by Brown. It's a shame there was no crowd, because the crowd would be booing him. We're really giving it to him if there was a crowd, but hopefully there'll be a crowd soon for New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong. But Quest is so smooth. Quest is so smooth in the ring. He hit some really, really nice spots. That springboard run off the top rope and the shooting star press to a standing Brown on the outside of the ring was really, really good. Really, really smooth, man. You know, I like the slow start of the match, actually, and how it picked up, and the action got really, really good as the match progressed. And the cheating win, again, grabbing a handful of tights, cemented Barrett Brown's role as a heel, and it also set up another match between the two. I didn't think anything was taken away from Quest in this match with the handful of tights by Barrett Brown to win. So Adrian Quest really didn't lose anything, and he didn't lose any steam in this match. And Brown cemented himself as a good heel. So it really worked out well for both, and also sets up a rematch between Quest and Barrett Brown, because Quest now has the excuse that Barrett Brown had a cheat to steal a victory over him. And actually in the back, they interviewed Quest, and Quest actually did say it's not over between the two, that he wants another shot, basically. And then Fred Rosser came out and offered his assistance to be Adrian Quest's backup. So I would imagine a tag team match is going to happen between Fred Rosser, Adrian Quest taking on Bateman and Barrett Brown. I'm sure that'll happen down the road, and I'm sure we'll get a rematch between Adrian Quest and Barrett Brown. And hey, I got no issue with that. I'd love to see them back in the ring again. Thought it was a really good match. I think they have a really good feud going, and hope we have one or two more matches between Adrian Quest and Barrett Brown. But they're two wrestlers to keep an eye on as well. Both very, very talented wrestlers. Match 3 was the main event, as we had NWA. What's wrong with me? It's like early in the morning, and I'm still I guess I'm still half asleep. I haven't had my English breakfast tea yet. So it was New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong debut of Satoshi Kojima teaming with Karl Fredericks, taking on Team Filthy, JR Kratos and Danny Limelight. Kratos and Limelight, the two henchmen of Tom Lawler, Filthy Tom Lawler, the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Champion. And their obvious job here was to weaken Karl Fredericks ahead of the upcoming match between Lawler and Fredericks for the title. So that was a job here. So, and it was also to get Kojima and Kratos in the ring together. So actually, let's run down some of the match because it was a really, really good match here. So Kojima and Kratos started, which I was very excited about. They faced off. Actually, Kratos and knocked Kojima down with a shoulder tackle. They had a few shoulder tackles where nobody, it was like a immovable object meets an irresistible force. Irresistible force meets an immovable object until Kratos hit Kojima with the big shoulder tackle and knocked him down. And Kojima quickly tagged in Fredericks, who comes in and connects with some forearm smashes to Kratos. But then Kratos takes control of the match, tags in Limelight, and there was a couple quick tags there. Limelight and Kratos have Fredericks in trouble. Big suplex on Fredericks by Kratos. Limelight is tagged back in. He maintains control of the match on Fredericks. Fredericks is in trouble. Fredericks is in trouble. Needs to get the tag to Kojima. Fredericks eventually hits a nice suplex on Limelight and the tags in Kojima. Limelight rushes to tag in Kratos, and the two big bulls go at it. Kojima hits machine gun chest chops on Kratos in the corner. Kojima climbs up to the top rope, hits an elbow drop for a 1 count on Kratos. Kratos comes back with a big power slam and a suplex on Kojima for 2. They go forearm for forearm in the middle of the ring. Kojima hits a Koji cutter on Kratos for 2. Limelight had to actually come in and make the save on that one. Limelight is tagged in. As he comes in, Kojima hits a big lariat. I thought he was gonna knock Limelight right out of his trunks. Big lariat. Fredericks is tagged in as he goes toe to toe with Limelight. Limelight hits a nice springboard stomp on Fredericks. Fredericks eventually locks on a really deep half crab variation of the half crab submission move. He holds on to it, has his knee on Limelight's neck and head, and Limelight is eventually forced to tap out. And the winner of the match is Kojima and Fredericks. After the match, Kratos and Kojima really go at it. Obviously to set up a match, a one-on-one match between the two down the road. But this was a very good main event. The story here was Fredericks sending a message to New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Champion Tom Lawler, who he will be challenging down the road, as I mentioned a few times earlier, with a tap-out win for his team. You know, Tom Lawler gets a lot of tap-out victories in New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong. Karl Fredericks sending a message saying, "Hey, I could tap people out too. So when we meet, I might tap you out, Tom Lawler." But it was sending out a message. And Kratos and Limelight early on, the story here for them was trying to weaken Karl Fredericks for the upcoming match, but they weren't successful as Karl Fredericks was able to tap out Limelight, as I mentioned. And looking forward to that match between the two. That's going to be just a tremendous match. A few weeks away from it, but when that match happens, that's going to be a must-see match. But Kojima had a good showing. His brawl with Kratos at the end of the match, like I said, is going to set up a match between Kratos and Kojima. That I wouldn't be surprised if that's on the final Ignition 2021 show, if that's the second match and the main event being Tom Lawler against Karl Fredericks. But whenever it happens, we're definitely going to see Satoshi Kojima against JR Kratos in a one-on-one match down the road. And I'm all for that. Kojima will get the victory, of course, over Kratos, but that's going to be a great one, as is Lawler versus Fredericks, which is going to close out the Ignition 2021 tour. And this was a good show. This was a good show. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this one. New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong has a lot of talent, and week in and week out, they deliver. They deliver, and this show was no exception to that. And I love again Carl Fredericks, instead of hitting his finishing move, his normal finishing move, the Manifesto Destiny, I believe it's called. If I got it wrong, I'm sorry. It's early on. Instead of hitting that the finishing move and getting the 1-2-3, I like how he did the tap out victory, as I said, to send a message to Tom Lawler that he's ready, for their match. And that's it. And that's it for New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong this week. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you very much for listening to me today. I'm your host, Louis Carlin. This is the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. And until next time, thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye. And stay safe, everyone. So long. Bye-bye.